This is ZEN, relieves stress and anxiety through mindfulness and meditation. Written by Evie Harrison. Narrated by Mary Johnson. Copyright 2020 by Evie Harrison. And production copyright by Evie Harrison. Chapter 1. ZEN and Rejection Handling. In some occupations, like the publish or perish world of academia, rejection is the norm. In my own field of social psychology, scientists carefully craft detailed documents defining their programs of research, several research studies over which they could have meticulously labored for 2, 3, or 4 years. Even after the research itself is finished, the researcher could spend months analyzing and reanalyzing his or her information, and after that, months more writing and rewording the paper to plainly communicate the profound advances contained therein. In spite of all the labor, the leading research journals reject totally 9 out of 10 of the documents they get. The reviews are typically bluntly negative, noting defect after defect in the logic of the arguments and the credibility of the data supporting those arguments, and maybe observing that the research question itself is not all that critical after all. I just returned from a meeting of 4,000 social and personality psychologists from around the globe, lots of whom are young assistant professors hoping to win period, or even more youthful doctoral students intending to win a job as an assistant professor, at which time they too can start fretting about whether they will win tenure. Each of these people has huge potential, having already proved their intellectual expertise, conscientiousness, and creativity. The typical person at the conference has an IQ in the top 1 or 2% of mankind, as verified by their stellar grades and excellent scores on the GREs, or graduate level evaluations, which are a lot like the SATs, but for people who are now finishing college and dream to get a PhD. Besides evidencing high levels of intelligence, anyone accepted into a PhD program also managed to convince their professors to write letters raving about their ambition, conscientiousness, writing capabilities, intrinsic interest in psychology, and well-rounded creative luster. Ironically, being a top-level honors student all their lives has handicapped them, because their instructors have showered them with radiant feedback, though plastering gold stars, smiley deals with, and full marks all over their essays and book reports. Tons of these fantastic young researchers have very little experience managing negative feedback. When they submit their first paper to a clinical journal, though, there is a 90% chance that, after waiting for an additional 2 to 4 months, they will be the recipient of an evaluation letter that begins something like, "I have asked 3 experts in the field to assess your paper, and based on the many problems they explain, I'm sorry to notify you that I will deny to publish your paper in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology." After a lifetime of easy A's, they have worked tougher than they have ever worked previously, only to get a failing grade. Their response is likely to involve some mix of intense shock and psychological pain. I lectured at the opening session of the Society for Personality and Social Psychology's conferences as part of a symposium in which 3 senior scientists talked on the general topic, "What I Dream, I Would Understand Then." The seminar was aimed to help those appealing young academics learn something from us experienced elders about how to do well in an academic profession. My talk was entitled, "The Zen of Embracing Rejection." I typically judge the success of my talks by the number of laughs I hear, and by this criterion, the talk worked out. Besides producing a lot of laughter, I actually believe that the talk also created a lot of sighs of relief. This is why. Because I let them in on a filthy little secret. The most successful people in the field have also seen more than their share of rejection letters. I tried to give these young scientists some advice that I think definitely applies to lots of other endeavors as well. Accepting failure with an open mind can usually be the fastest course to success. Several years back, when I was still a young professor, I remember a conversation between two of the most effective people in the field. Those were two prominent teachers, Charles S. Carver and David Kenny, whose articles had appeared in all of the major journals and gone on to have enormous scientific effect, as judged by thousands of citations by other clinical researchers. But instead of basking in their great success, these two superstars were discussing their strategies for managing rejection letters. It rapidly ended up being clear that both of them had seen many rejection letters. This was especially beneficial for me to hear at the time, because I had just gotten several rejection letters in a row, and I was starting to really wonder whether I should consider a very different profession, perhaps going back to New York City to drive a taxi, or taking a 9-to-5 job with a more readily achievable job description. In the ensuing years, I told many of my own graduate students about that conversation, and most of them were surprised to hear that two of the intellectual giants in the field also needed to handle a lot of rejection in their lives. I also tried to motivate the young researchers to embrace negative feedback at some levels. At the local level, it pays to encourage your friends and colleagues to give you definitely truthful critical feedback. Showering you with unconditional positive regard looks like a good thing to do, but sincere feedback is a more valuable gift, saving you the misery of completing an imperfect task and getting the sincere feedback from the editor in the form of a rejection letter. At the next level up, it pays to keep an open and non-defensive mind when you do get a letter that starts out, "I'm sorry to inform you." The nice aspect of scientific journals is that they let you see the customer's comments, consequently helping you learn how you could communicate your ideas better, or design a new study that will deal with an issue you had not considered. At times, negative feedback may even lead you to desert a non-productive type of work and divert your efforts to something else. And at the broadest level, when you are trying to develop a broad and integrative theory, it pays to listen carefully when people do not understand your reasoning or are not convinced by your proof. Evolutionary psychologists have gotten a ton of negative responses, but it has actually enhanced the field by motivating scientists to collect more extensive data, to address the relentless mistaken beliefs, and to re-explain the main ideas in clearer and more convincing ways. Naturally, I myself do not always take such an even-handed Zen perspective. Actually, my own responses to negative reviews typically follow the phases of sorrow that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross described as characteristic of terminal health problem. Denial. In the first paragraph of the decision letter contains the word string. Sorry to inform you. I at times don't read another word. I take the Scarlett O'Hara path. I'll think of it tomorrow. Anger. When tomorrow comes, I cannot resist the impulse to open Pandora's box. However, in spite of my self-encouragements to be sensible and relaxed, I am soon ranting about moron customers, semi-creationist, anti-evolution dunces, and other unprintable epithets. Bargaining. When my anger has come down below the wall-punching level, I may next draft a letter that begins, "Dear stupid editor, I barely know where to begin counting the ways in which you messed up in appreciating the brilliance of my work." Depression. After tearing up several drafts of my upset letter to the editor, I switch to the mournful refrain. Perhaps I do not belong in this field. I seriously ask this question after each negative evaluation in my more youthful years. But even now, after I have released posts in most of the leading journals in my field, I still occasionally ask it, reframed as, perhaps it is time I retired. And acceptance. Eventually, I get over my self-defeating reactions and say to my research team, okay, let's reread those evaluations thoroughly and ask ourselves, what is the next research study we need to do to handle reviewer C's bookings? There are some sub-steps of the approval stage, and sometimes it includes the sub-phrase where you recognize that it is actually fun to participate in dialectic interchange with other smart people. And the best thing is that clinical arguments are not like terminal health problems. Actually, there is an additional stage. Renewal. When you are really at your Buddha-like best, you appreciate that clinical development comes about not when researchers uncritically accept one another's ideas, but when they challenge one another to take their case one step further and either produce a more sturdily indisputable proof or to actually change the notion to include elements of the data we were trying to deny or overlook. By utilizing the negative feedback to enhance your technique, you and your theory grow stronger. When I think of it, these same stages apply to more than just clinical research. They really apply to a ton of other creative endeavors in the business world and even in our personal lives. Though it may serve a short-term purpose in emotional coping, there is no long-term future in denial, ranting anger, or depression when people do not like your ideas, and even when they do not like you or something about you. But there is a future in asking whether there is something in their feedback that you can use either to improve yourself, to enhance your message, or to understand that you are seeking the wrong objective or trying to attract the wrong audience and would be happier if you proceeded. Chapter 2. Zen Mindset. A Zen state of mind can be described as the mind that sees all things for the first time, like a newborn baby, checking out the world through fresh lenses that haven't been tinted by language, feelings, or labels. Neuroscience research shows that practicing a Zen frame of mind can actually relax the mind, bring more clarity, and allow us to act with more compassion. With a Zen frame of mind, you can allow your thoughts, emotions, and understandings to be what they are without judgment. Circumstances are just incidents that mean nothing until we place our own subjective ideas and emotions onto them. How we choose to focus our attention forms how we experience a provided circumstance. We should welcome our thoughts and feelings to the leading edge so we can learn a lot from their wisdom. This is very different from suppressing them or impulsively responding to them. Many people turn to things like drugs, gaming, food, work, sex, or people-pleasing to suppress whatever emotions and thoughts they want to overlook. As quickly as an unfavorable feeling stirs up, they react mentally rather than respond attentively. Even so, mindlessly going into action permits the negative emotions to continue. Gradually, the buildup of these emotions can end up being frustrating, and the addicting habits that you may turn to for convenience could actually make this circumstance worse. When acting from a Zen frame of mind, you relax the negative ideas and emotions by listening carefully to them. Eventually, this decreases your anxiety, because instead of being scared of pain, you accept it as part of life. That then permits you to be more focused, relaxed, and mindful to yourself. That practice is not about trying to get rid of anything. It has to do with accepting whatever is there. The following are 5 suggestions on getting the frame of mind of a master. Number 1. Be mindful. Mindfulness is the ability to focus and train your mind to become conscious of awareness itself so that you can pay more attention to your own purpose and meaning. As scientists have specified it, mindfulness requires focusing on the present moment from a stance that is non-judgmental and non-reactive. Mindfulness informs us about being an observer of ourselves, watching our actions and emotions as they are happening. As Daniel J. Siegel, M.D. puts it, at the heart of this process, it is the kind of internal tuning into oneself that makes it possible for people to become their own friend. Number 2. End up being an unbiased observer. There is part of all of us that is an objective observer. That part of us is open and free from psychological reactiveness. As Siegel says in his book Mindset, this is the receptive center of the mind, the peaceful depth of the mental sea. In order to develop a Zen state of mind, we have to tune into that element of ourselves. We do that by taking notice of our actions and responding to life rather than impulsively reacting to it. That creates long-lasting changes in our brain that let us be thoughtful in our responses. Number 3. Exercise routinely. With weekly exercise, a healthy diet plan, and a great night's sleep, you could lay the structure for important changes to occur in your brain. The more your brain changes in these important ways, the healthier it becomes. This eventually causes a happier life. Exercise is an underestimated treatment intervention. It releases endorphins, which combat negative emotions and promote the further development of a mindful brain. Number 4. Don't try to change your true feelings. Just let things be. Attempting to push yourself to feel differently than you do is a technique that goes nowhere at all quickly. A Zen state of mind involves accepting what is and not being held up by judging yourself for feeling a certain sort of way. Amazingly, people find that letting things be also permits them to change. We should look at our inner selves with openness and acceptance rather than judgment. That requires being kind and cutting yourself some slack. And lastly, number 5. Stay present in what you are doing. To stay present with whatever you are doing in this moment, you just need to acknowledge when your thinking goes astray and pulls you into the past or future. It can seem really hard initially, but ultimately, it ends up being simpler. If your best friend came to you with an issue she was having, would you try to neglect and judge her for her feeling upset about a tight spot? I would hope not. You would probably listen to her struggles, let her speak freely, and offer a shoulder to weep on. That is what it means to be open and attuned to another individual's feelings. Wouldn't it make more sense to extend this exact same compassion to yourself? Working to a Zen frame of mind means exactly that. Being helpful of yourself and others means letting pain just be there in the moment, being understanding instead of combative. You need to learn how to trust your mind and thoughts so they do not become separated. You do this by bringing them into focus and loving all of them like you would someone you care about. Chapter 3. How to upgrade your mindset to succeed in life. Our success and happiness depend on your mindset. What you think, you end up being. Our state of mind affects how we see the world. If yours is misshaped, so will be the way you see yourself and others. Our beliefs and ideas form the way we behave, even if we don't understand it. Developing the right frame of mind is crucial to being successful in life. Here is how to upgrade yours. The value of frame of mind. A frame of mind is a state of mind. It is the sum of beliefs, opinions, and ideas that we have formed about the world and ourselves. It is the lens through which we observe our world. Our education, religious belief, childhood, and experience shapes our belief and ideas. Our mind is set. It directly impacts our perception and reactions. As Amit Ray said, the mind is a versatile mirror. Adjust it to see a better world. Mindsets can change, but they do so gradually. Attitudes, on the other hand, have a short-term impact. That is why they are simpler to customize. Our mindsets are deeply ingrained in our beliefs, and it needs additional effort to change them. Your mindset predetermines your analysis and responses. It forms your relationship with the world and with yourself. Choose your state of mind wisely. Your state of mind can help you or hurt you. The most popular concept about mindsets outlines two types: growth versus fixed frame of mind. In State of Mind, The New Psychology of Success, Carol Dweck suggests that our beliefs about our own intelligence determine our ability to learn. A fixed mindset is a belief that our qualities are fixed traits that we cannot change. People with this frame of mind really believe that talent alone results in success. A growth mindset, on the other hand, is thinking that our intelligence can grow with time and experience. This state of mind encourages us to put in extra time. Effort results in higher achievement. A fixed mindset restricts our capability for learning, while a growth state of mind helps us reach our full potential. Even so, there are more kinds of attitudes. The lenses we use impact how we handle our feelings. An unfavorable frame of mind can amplify our negative emotions and get us stuck in rumination. Our attitudes develop two effects on us. They either limit our potential or they free it. For example, binary thinking forces us to consider only two possibilities. We think regarding one thing or the other and see things through a right or wrong lens. The frame of mind you use can bring clearness or cloud your perception. The different kinds of frame of mind. Let us examine the most frequent types of frame of mind. This is not an exhaustive list, but a starting point to help you reflect on the lenses you use without noticing. As part of my work helping companies update their mindsets, teams catch what limits or liberates their high performance. The following are some that people tend to use more regularly. Right or wrong versus unbiased. We really love being right. The trouble with this frame of mind is that we stop taking note of other perspectives. Rather than learning, we just care about winning the argument. Verification predisposition is the propensity we need to embrace information that supports our beliefs. The desire to be always right makes us decline facts that might illuminate our views. Victim versus liable. Self-pity is an unsafe choice. When we play the victim, we lose control of our life. Instead of doing something about it, we blame others for the things that go wrong. Playing the victim role is a lose-lose circumstance. No one will come to rescue us. Life requires that we own our own actions. Comparing to others versus being your own requirement. There will always be a person doing better or worse than ourselves. When we compare to others, we invite enviousness and envy to toxin our lives. Contrasts are deceiving. Recuperate control by becoming your own requirement. Concentrate on your progress, not on another person's status. Saying no versus yes and. A lot of no's kill creativeness. However, that is our usual answer when introduced to new ideas. We say no before even considering their potential. We are trained to reject unpredictability and new ideas. Imagination needs a yes and mindset. Instead of blocking the conversation, enhance creative skill by building on other people's ideas. Reactive versus proactive. Reactive people really believe they are not accountable for what they say or do. They do not control their choices and let their situations control them instead. Proactive people do not squander their energy or time. They concentrate on what they can manage, think through situations, focus on the future. A proactive frame of mind puts you in control. Afraid versus courageous. Seeing life through a worry lens is daunting. Fear will always get in on our way. Adopting a courageous frame of mind is vital to accomplishing greatness. Nerve does not mean the lack of fear, but to face our fears, move forward in spite of your fears. Avoidance versus dealing with reality. An avoidance state of mind gets us stuck grumbling about what went wrong and what we do not like. Instead of fighting reality, learn how to face it. Accepting reality as is does not mean quitting. It is a needed step to move forward. How to upgrade your mindset for success. Number 1. End up being more aware of your attitudes. Accept that your thinking needs change. Start by increasing consciousness of your frame of mind. When you respond to a circumstance or before making a decision, which lens are you using to see reality? Are you adopting a perfectionist mindset or a me one, and think that the world revolves around you? Number 2. Avoid seeing reality in binary terms. Most attitudes are deceiving. They push us to see the world in black and white terms. Binary thinking produces a false problem. We act just as if there are only 2 possible choices when there are actually more. Challenge your binary thinking. Avoid the propensity to divide all the things into 2 categories, black and white, either or, right or wrong. Number 3. Assess your beliefs. Our attitudes are deep-rooted in our beliefs. To change our state of mind, we should initially examine our belief system. What is holding you back? Are your beliefs supporting you or limiting you? Identify the beliefs that are practical and work on those that are not. Number 4. Redefine your purpose in life. All of us want to become part of something bigger than ourselves. What is your life's purpose? Find your why. Create your own step of success. What attitudes will help you get there? Select the lenses that will help you accomplish your higher objective in life. Finding your life's purpose is not about the location. It is all about the journey. And number 5. Turn limiting mindsets into liberating ones. Obstacle your existing attitudes. Go back to the analysis you did on point 1. What are the mindsets that are not helping you? Changing your attitudes is hard, but it deserves the effort. Updating them requires changing your filter with a new one. Your state of mind is a lens that filters how you see yourself and the world around you. Upgrade your state of mind. Turn your limiting beliefs into liberating ones. Chapter 4. A Zen Perspective. Whether knowingly acknowledged or not, we live in a practically constant state of anxiety. We are worried about what we could lose and what we might not gain. We also live in grief and regret over what we have left, or at the very least, feel we might have undoubtedly lost. We thus connect ourselves to the very things that we cannot eventually control, the past and the future. In truth, there is only today, this moment, and this breath with which we are and can actually be linked. The past is gone, and the future has not yet happened. We are here now. From a Buddhist perspective, addiction may be considered the archetype of attachment. Addiction is, in fact, a collection of attachments. It is attachment to fear, attachment to loss, an attachment to longing, emptiness, and an absence of a sense of purpose. Whether we choose alcohol, drugs, sex, food, pornography, exercise, or even shopping. We are simply using the means serving the strong urge to fill an area and dampen our pain. The means doesn't matter. That is simply a gesture. The compulsion is the core of it, and that compulsion is not so much to drink, or do drugs, or to spend. That compulsion ultimately is to fill that space. And just what is that space? We may consider it as the God-shaped hole. The wisdom mentors suggest that in relating to a self, a me, we divorce ourselves from the true nature of our existence. From a psychological perspective, this division emerges as inauthenticity, and the internal conflict that condition engenders promotes internal strife. In our effort to reconcile this sense of inauthenticity, we stick much more frantically to developing a sense of me-ness, and can, in many cases, end up being morbidly self-destructive in our efforts to soothe the pain of failure in that reconciliation. Addiction normally begins as an interest. As soon as we express an interest in something, we are expressing a preference. In expressing a choice, we are dividing our attention and creating an attachment to something in the world around us. As that interest develops into a fascination, our attachment deepens. Our attention ends up being more and more unique, and we end up being progressively imbalanced, mentally, intellectually, and spiritually. Fascination might then flower into obsession, and we become a servant to our attachment. We are no longer ourselves, and rather than losing our mind, which would be the competent means by which to escape our attachment, we are trapped inside the mind. With obsession, our attachment becomes a lot more magnified, and our exemption even more narrow. As we end up being servants to our attachment, our mind, and our behavior, we lose the ability to work out free choice, and, in that light, move from fascination to compulsion, from place of being driven to a place of need. At this moment, we struggle the first noble truth. Our attachment has become so included that we have welcomed suffering. We are no longer willful, but rather subject to and at the sufferance of the will of our attachments. When we find ourselves in a place that we cannot live without exercising this attachment, whatever it might be, we have fallen into a state of dependency. Within the context of dependency, people usually feel that they do not have an option. Absolutely nothing could be further from the truth. We always have a choice. When facing someone who themselves is challenging an addiction, saying to them, "Stopping your behavior is your choice," is, though, typically met deep resistance for their failure to see that choice. The key to getting a grasp on this is recognizing that choice is a consistent state. It is not a single moment in time. If the choice not to be addicted were a single choice point, then all we would eventually do is move our attachment from something socially described as negative, say drinking or being promiscuous, to something that is socially perceived as positive, not drinking or being chaste. In point of fact, we would end up being addicted, or at least attached, to not being addicted. Buddha mentioned the middle way. Within the framework of choice that suggests that if we are present in the moment, our choices are continuous. We do not then go right or left, say yes or no, think good or bad, or see black or white. Rather, we are aware that both opportunities exist themselves. We recognize this and acknowledge it, then choose neither. When we lose the middle way and fall off our balancing point, we develop our pain. We create our sense of empty space and our anxiety around loss. We deceive ourselves into believing that we are less than whom and what we are by virtue of attaching ourselves to things, items, situations, feelings, and stress and anxieties that take us from ourselves. This is the engine of addiction. Returning to the present moment brings us back to our constancy of choice. We find ourselves in the middle way, on the balancing point, and we have the ability to see both choices. Seeing both sides in balance and in perspective then gives us the chance to work out empathy. Most importantly, it gives us the opportunity to exercise compassion toward ourselves. We have the ability to see the left and the right, and we are also able to see the left in the right and the right in the left. Our disappointment with the world and sense of victimhood thus becomes transformed into the recognition that we must set an objective in our lives. Our depression finds an antidote for itself in the gratitude that we can reveal just for living. We begin to see outside ourselves with a clear vision and recognize that the things outside ourselves are, in fact, rather outside ourselves. In releasing our attachments, we also let go of the important things that influence us and draw us into a state of mind where we feel less than we are, where we feel that something is missing, where we need to fill the space or dampen the pain or simply make it go away. Coming back to the breath as a marker for the present moment and exercising the constancy of choice in that moment and every moment also gives us an opportunity to break without the bonds of this supreme state of attachment and begin to climb up out of the pit of suffering into which we have gotten ourselves. Chapter 5. Can I relieve stress and anxiety by practicing mindfulness? Anxiety is an emotion characterized by feelings of stress, concern, fear, apprehension, anxiousness, or unease. It can also cause physical changes, such as sleeping disorders, queasiness, headaches, increased high blood pressure, and heart rate. These feelings can be tough to manage and can make everyday life challenging. Approximately 25% of stroke survivors experience anxiety to differing degrees. I certainly experienced anxiety, and it ended up being a major challenge affecting many aspects of my life after my stroke. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the practice of bringing your attention to the present. It is asking yourself, what is happening in my life at this moment, Mindfulness includes making intentional and non-judgmental evaluations. Mindfulness does not mean we overlook our past or future, but instead, we take a break and end up being more familiar with our ideas in the existing moment. This permits us to reflect. Is there any truth to our thoughts? Are we judging ourselves based upon an event that happened in the past? Are we fretting about a possible situation that might happen in the future? Mindfulness basically means that you are bringing awareness to where you are now, what you are doing, and why you are doing it, with no judgment. We improve mindfulness by learning to detach from anxious thoughts. That is attained by practicing self-awareness and recognizing stress in the mind and body. Simply put, by learning to recognize when anxiety is beginning to build and bringing your focus back to the present. This enables you to be able to understand what the cause is and consider what you can do to prevent your anxiety from structure. Mindfulness teaches you to have greater control. You will learn how to have control over your thoughts versus your ideas having control over you. Living in the past or the future. Let us consider what dwelling on the past will accomplish. Will it change the past? Will the stroke magically unhappen? No, it is just torturing you, causing you grief, and losing valuable time and energy. Next, let us consider what obsessing about the future will accomplish. When has fretting ever changed the outcome? Never ever. Once again, precious energy and time are being squandered. Is it all right to learn a lot from the past? Definitely. This serves a purpose. Can you look back to celebrate how far you have come? Again, the answer is absolutely. It serves a function. Can you look to the future to plan? It is serving a purpose, so the answer is yes. Nonetheless, dwelling on the past and worrying about the future generally serves no advantage and takes the focus from what is very important. What is truly important is the here and now. Perhaps the present moment is not so enjoyable, but by dwelling on the past or stressing over the future, you are just adding tension to a currently tight spot. Alternatively, if the present moment is wonderful, taking the focus away can rob you of completely delighting in a great experience. What is meditation and how to start? Meditation does not have to be the stereotypical idea of sitting motionless on a pillow. Just finding moments of thankfulness and consciousness as you tackle your day can be a great starting point. Meditate while you eat. Mindful eating will help slow you down. Pay very close attention to the food, enjoying the taste and odor, and experiencing the texture. Learn how to listen to your body. Stop multitasking and overwhelming yourself. Try doing daily tasks by focusing only on the job at hand. By making these simple changes, you may already feel the advantages of mindfulness and want to continue down this path. So, what next? It takes practice to practice meditation. Understand that this will require time. Do not expect your first meditation session to be simple. As crazy as it could sound, it takes practice to learn how to do nothing. Learning to quiet our minds is not as easy as it might sound, but believe me, it will get easier. Schedule it into your day. With time, you may find that those silent moments spent meditating help you to go back to your day more relaxed, focused, and better able to problem solve. Start your session in a peaceful environment and a comfortable position. Close your eyes and pay attention to your breathing. Do not change how you breathe. Simply observe your body as you breathe in and breathe out. You may be lured to shift your focus elsewhere. Restless ideas may pass through your mind. Acknowledge them, but then bring yourself back to consciousness by focusing on your breathing. Start sluggish, maybe with a 5-minute session, and then slowly increase the time you spent practicing meditation. Once you finish your session, open your eyes and see how you feel. Do not assess, just observe. Another method that can be helpful when beginning is using directed meditations. Online apps and videos are readily available, and many streaming services have directed meditations. Check resources in your area, as in-person classes or meditation groups might also be readily available. According to specialists, even people who do not experience anxiety can take advantage of self-care sessions concentrating on mindfulness. In this fast-paced world in which we live, we are constantly surrendering ourselves to other concerns: work, family, good friends, and so on. We hardly ever require time just for us. Personally, I was doubtful about meditation, but after reading and hearing a lot more about its positive results, I realized that I had absolutely nothing to lose by giving it a shot. After just a couple of sessions, I could already feel the advantages, and on especially difficult days, I might include a number of sessions in my day. One of my preferred sites to focus my breath is, "Are you feeling anxious?" Take deep breaths and sync with this. Chapter 6. Changing your brain through changing your mind. When it comes to handling stress, the Eastern traditions could be particularly efficient. The Western health model is based on detecting the underlying reason for an issue and then finding an active medical or behavioral interference to eliminate it. Those with chronic health problems are typically advised to stay strong or to have a fighting spirit. Eastern medicine has a more holistic view of disease, as indicating a lack of balance or an energy blockage. The solution is to bring the body and mind back into balance, using gentle, non-invasive techniques, such as herbs, manipulative methods, movement, or meditation. How the brain processes feeling. Our lower brain centers, like the amygdala or hypothalamus, were made to find and respond to threats, like a tiger ready to eat us. They create an instant fight or flight response to increase the chances of survival, but they can become hypersensitive, disrupting our ability to experience the present moment in an open and relaxed way. Daily meditation practice can help to fix this imbalance and allow us to retrain our minds so we're less likely to overreact with extreme anger or fear to mental threats like rejection. Being less chronically stressed can also help our immune systems operate more effectively to fight off illness. Mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness-based stress reduction treatment, or MBSR, is a meditation program developed by John Kabat-Zinn and researchers at Harvard Medical School to help people living with persistent pain. Central to this form of meditation is a focus on the breath to bring the mind back to the present moment when it strays. Over time, this results in greater mindful power over attentional focus, such that more primitive alarm reactions are less able to control our thoughts and behaviors. The final objective of the meditation training is to incorporate present moment awareness into each aspect of everyday life. Research over the past 10 years or so has begun to demonstrate how meditation might change the brain and enhance psychological and physical health and well-being. Improved immune response. A 2003 study by Richard Davidson and Associates with healthy staff members revealed that 8 weeks of meditation practice changed the pattern of electrical activity in the brain. There was greater activation in the left hemisphere amongst meditators than people examined at the same time who did not have meditation training and were the control group. The researchers also looked at immune reaction to an influenza vaccine and found out that the meditator group had more antibody titers to the vaccine than the control group, indicating better immune performance. Those advantages lasted for months after the intervention. Changes in the brain's gray matter. A more recent, regulated research study showed that meditation was connected with increased gray matter in the hippocampus, which is responsible for learning and memory, and decreased gray matter in the amygdala, which is the initiator of the brain's precortical alarm system. Those psychological changes parallel the principle that meditation increases mindful control over emotional, behavioral, and attentional reaction to risk. Minimized pain sensitivity. Scientists are also starting to show that meditation can change the way we experience pain. Chris Brown and co-workers at the University of Manchester revealed that a mindfulness meditation course caused less uncommon activity in areas of the prefrontal cortex when subjects expected to get an unpleasant stimulus, such as a little electrical shock or contact with a hot item. Those who practiced meditation reported finding the pain less undesirable too. Shift from negative to positive effect. Clients in another mindfulness research study showed substantially greater changes in brain electrical activity from activation in the right to the left cortical hemisphere, from before to immediately following meditation and some months later, compared to a control group. This pattern of brain activity is connected with a shift from negative and towards more positive emotional experience. To put it simply, mindfulness meditation regimen appeared to help people to experience more positive emotions such as love, compassion, or satisfaction. Does a briefer intervention work? One reason people withstand practicing meditation is the time it takes. The original protocol included 8 weeks of mindfulness training sessions plus 45 minutes a day of at-home practice. At the beginning, lots of people find it hard to support attention on the breath for that length of time. Logistical and time factors to consider make patients more hesitant to register or result in dropout. A briefer interference that could be used more widely in medical facility, staff member health, and outpatient psychological health settings might be more economical and tasty to patients. A really current research study released in the Journal of Psychological Science shows that a briefer meditation protocol can produce comparable changes in cortical activity. Scientist Christopher Moyer and his co-workers at the University of Wisconsin-Stout appointed subjects at random to either a 5-week mindfulness meditation group or to a group put on a waiting list for services. Data showed people in the meditation group practice at home a number of times a week for about 25 minutes each time on average. These meditation subjects showed the same changes in cortical activity as those that got the full interference in earlier studies. That is, a significant increase in left hemisphere cortical activation. The waiting list group did not show these changes. This is an exciting finding, since it suggests even much shorter meditation periods can significantly increase positive emotional experience in the brain. Chapter 7. How Mindfulness and Meditation Promote Psychological Health. I've put together a top 10 list, or meta-analysis of some recent scientific research that supports numerous ways that mindfulness and meditation promote wellness throughout different phases and situations of someone's life. 10 ways mindfulness and meditation promote wellness. Enhance brain performance. Promote creative thinking. Relieve stress. Curtail anxiety. Boost empathy. Reduce possibility of depression. Reduce chronic pain. Lower risk of cardiovascular disease or stroke. Help cancer recovery. And alleviate post-traumatic stress disorder. Number 1. Boost brain efficiency. A union of scientists from Norway and Australia just recently realized that non-directive meditation activates the default mode network and parts connected with memory retrieval, which boosts brain performance. The 2014 research study was published in the journal Frontiers in Human Neuroscience. Number 2. Promote creative thinking. A 2014 research study from Leiden University in the Netherlands realized that certain meditation techniques can promote creative thinking as marked by convergent versus divergent thinking, even if someone has never meditated before. The discoveries were published in the journal Mindfulness. Number 3. Ease tension. A 2012 research study from Massachusetts General Healthcare Facility, or MGH, and Boston University, or BU, discovered that participating in an 8-week meditation training program had positive results on how the amygdala responded to stress, even when somebody is not actively practicing meditation. Their findings were released in the diary Frontiers in Human Neuroscience. Number 4. Cut anxiety. A 2014 research study from Johns Hopkins Medicine found out that 30 minutes of meditation daily can improve signs of anxiety and also depression. The discoveries were published in the online diary JMMA Inner Medication. Number 5. Boost empathy. A 2013 study from Northeastern University College of Science and Harvard University analyzed the impact of meditation on interpersonal harmony and empathy. The scientists found that meditation made people more willing to act compassionately and to help another individual in need who was suffering, even when doing so went against peer pressure. Number 6. A reduction possibility of depression. A 2013 research study in Belgium schools found that mindfulness had the ability to minimize the possibility of depression-related symptoms in adolescents. The results showed that mindfulness can lead to a reduction in symptoms associated with depression and could also safeguard against the future development of depression-like symptoms. Number 7. Decrease persistent pain. A February 2015 study by the American Discomfort Society found out that meditation can be an efficient treatment for decreasing persistent neck pain. The authors concluded that meditation has special advantages for producing pain relief and for pain coping. Number 8. Lower risk of cardiovascular disease or stroke. In 2012, the American Heart Association reported that a group of people who practiced transcendental meditation regularly were 48% less likely to have a cardiac arrest, stroke, or to actually die from either of these causes. Individuals who practiced meditation also lowered their high blood pressure and reported less anger and stress. The more frequently somebody meditated, the greater their outcomes. Heart disease is the leading cause of death worldwide. Meditation could drastically reduce the number of people who die from heart attacks and stroke each year. Number 9. Help cancer recovery. A 2011 study from the University of Missouri-Columbia found out that breast cancer survivors' health improved after they learned mindfulness-based tension reduction, or MBSR, a kind of mindfulness training that integrates meditation, yoga, and physical awareness. A 2014 research study from the University of Montreal found out that mindfulness-based meditation could reduce some symptoms associated with cancer in teens. The scientists discovered that teens that participated in the mindfulness group were less depressed, and that mindfulness was valuable in enhancing mood and sleep in teens with cancer. And lastly, number 10. Alleviate post-traumatic stress disorder. A 2013 study by the University of Michigan Health System found out that mindfulness workouts that included meditation, stretching, and approval of thoughts and feelings helped veterans with combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, eliminate their signs. More specifically, the scientists found that veterans with PTSD who completed an 8-week mindfulness-based group treatment plan showed a substantial decrease in signs when compared to clients who went through standard treatments. Mindfulness-based cognitive treatment, or MBCT, integrates cognitive treatment with a meditative method of mindfulness that underlines an increased consciousness of all ideas and feelings. There are an endless variety of ways to meditate and practice mindfulness. This collection of research studies illustrates that specific types of mindfulness meditation seem to have specific benefits. Fine-tuning which kind of mindfulness or meditation somebody uses as an authoritative to treat a particular need will more than likely be the next big advance in the general public health revolution of mindfulness and meditation. This has been ZEN. Relieve stress and anxiety through mindfulness and meditation. Written by Evie Harrison. Narrated by Mary Johnson. Copyright 2020 by Evie Harrison. And production copyright by Evie Harrison. The end.